So I get a ton of questions daily pertaining to usually nutrition and training, and I don't always get the time to personally answer each question. So I figured what I would do is make a video each week answering a question that I get very, very often. So to kick it off this week, I wanted to start with a question I get almost weekly, and it is about plateaus. So most commonly I'll get someone who comes to me and they'll say, I have been doing this and this and this, but I can't seem to break through this plateau, or I'm just really stuck where I'm at. Typically it's going to depend on the condition of the person. So, you know, if you're coming to me and you were 100 pounds overweight and you've lost 50, but you can't seem to get the other 50 off. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, if you are a very thin person and you just can't seem to put on muscle no matter what you do, that's a different plateau than someone who might be overweight. Now, with that being said, there are also strength plateaus. So a lot of times people come to me and they'll say, you know, I've gained 20 pounds on my squat within the past couple of months, but I just can't seem to gain the extra 5 that I want. Or no matter what I do, I just can't seem to gain strength to do a pull-up. So whatever your plateau is, I find that it most commonly falls within 3 categories of why you have reached that plateau. So I'm going to talk about why people hit plateaus in this video. I might make another one about how to break through those plateaus. So with that being said, the 3 most common, the 3 most common reasons why someone reaches a plateau. The first one I want to talk about is you're changing your goals way too often. So if you're going from, okay, I really want to lose body fat, to actually instead I want to be strong, within a month, you can't just jump from program to program and expect to still see results. Also, with that being said, you can still do the fat burning workouts and the strength building workouts in the same aspect. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be realistic with yourself and understand that you're probably going to see results a little bit slower. And if you're okay with that, then you can totally proceed. But if you're someone who needs immediate results, you should stick to one goal and then move on to the next one. And you need to stick to one goal for a sustained period of time. So if you want to gain size or muscle, but you also want to gain strength, if you need those immediate results, you need to pick one. Otherwise, if you're okay with that and if you're realistic with yourself, you can do both of those at the same time. Just understand it's going to take longer to break through that plateau. Some results are less noticeable, but they should not be ignored and they should still be recognized. For example, are you seeing more energy? Are you sleeping better? Are you having less cravings? Has your mood improved? You know, are you less winded after walking up the stairs, if that's even possible? Those are all results that you should not ignore. Those are all results that don't necessarily mean you're hitting a plateau. Just because they're not physical, just because you can't measure them with, you know, how much weight you've lifted or how many pounds you've lost. Those are still results, and those definitely mean you're not in a plateau. And also with the realistic part that I was saying earlier, you know, you need to set realistic goals, and that's how you can tell if you've actually hit a true plateau. Because just because you're not seeing results as fast as you want to does not mean that you've hit a plateau. Now, if your goal is to do more push-ups or more pull-ups, that should only take a week or 2. However, if your strength goal is to put 50 pounds on your deadlift, that's probably going to take a year or longer, depending on the level of the lifter. You know, in addition to that, if your physical goal is to lose weight or inches off your chest, understand that depending on where your body is at and how long you've been lifting or working out or trying to reach this goal, it's going to take longer if you're more advanced or if you've been working towards this goal for a really long time. Now, if you're just a beginner and you're just getting started, it should only take 3 to 6 weeks to see progress. And if you don't see progress within those 3 to 6 weeks, you're probably doing something wrong. And yes, you probably have hit a plateau. In addition to that, if your goal is to gain muscle, it takes longer to build muscle typically than it takes to burn fat. And especially if you want that muscle to be noticeable. So the leaner you are, the more noticeable your muscle is going to be. And depending on the person, your nutrition, and several other factors, you can put on a pound of muscle or more in a month, but that doesn't mean that muscle is going to be visible or noticeable. So you need to keep that in mind too, that just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So moving on to the second point I have about why you've reached a plateau, it could be because you're not following your plan. So if you have a coach, a trainer, you're following an online plan, you're writing your own plan, but you're not following it, that's probably why you've reached a plateau. Because your plan is planned out for you on purpose, and if you're not following it exactly, you can expect to hit a plateau. So people who aren't following their plans are doing one of two things. They're doing too much or they're doing too little. Now for those who are doing too much, if you have a trainer that's writing out your programming for you and you're doing more than what they tell you to do, you're probably not seeing results. And I see this happen a lot of times with beginners or people who are new to lifting or new to a program. They're going to look at something and they're going to think, I can do more. Just because you can do more does not mean you should. You'll see advanced and elite level lifters doing a lot more than you, but that's because they need it. That's because they need it to gain the stimulus that they need. You, however, if you're a beginner, you do not need more. There is a point where doing more is not better. It's not beneficial. So you need to listen to your coach, you need to listen to your trainer, you need to follow your plan exactly as it is written. A lot of times beginners often like to throw in extra cardio too. Now if your plan says 20 minutes of cardio, don't do 25. So now with that being said about doing too much, most oftentimes when you reach a plateau it's because you're not doing enough. So there are so many different things you can do to make sure you are doing enough or to increase that stimulus. You can, for example, change your reps. If you're used to doing your supersets of 3x10, change up the reps. Instead of doing 3x10, do 3x15. Or you know what, do 3x5. Go heavier. Change up the stimulus to increase the growth. Also, you can add more volume. If you are training for strength, for example, and your first block has you squatting 200 pounds, say 20 times over the course of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, however long your training block is. Your second training block should have you squatting 200 pounds for 30 reps or more, for example. You need to be increasing the volume in order to break through a plateau. However, on the other end of the spectrum, if your goal is hypertrophy, you can do like what I said before with adding in sets. And not only that, but if you're used to doing, say, 8 movements per workout, add in a 9th or a 10th. Add more, but more quality. So like I said before, you don't need to add in more reps. You don't need to do lateral raises for 25 reps. Add in another set of lateral raises or a different variation of lateral raises in order to change the stimulus. So going off of that, you also need to be increasing your weights. If you're not increasing your weights, you're literally doing the same exact thing over and over, day in, day out. You know, you can walk into the gym and do your 10 reps of leg press with 500 pounds, but your muscles are going to get the exact same stimulus every single time you do that. However, if you increase it to 550 pounds, your muscles are getting a new stimulus, and the new stimulus is going to cause your muscles to have to change, which is going to cause your muscles to have to make a new adaptation, which will in turn cause your muscles to grow. So stimulus leads to new adaptation, which leads to growth. And in order to create that stimulus, you need to be adding more weight, more volume, more work. In addition to that, I want to say that a lot of people do not train at the intensity that they think that they are. You shouldn't be able to be talking while you're squatting. If your goal is to gain strength or gain muscle or even burn fat, you should not be able to have a casual conversation while you're working out. If you're at a plateau, it is probably because you're not training as intense as you think that you are or as intense as you need to be. And with that, it includes decreasing your rest times. So if you're resting 60 seconds, you need to actually be resting 60 seconds. Time your rest breaks, and you would be surprised because the time it takes you to go get a drink at the water fountain might be 2 minutes, or the time it takes you to respond to a text might be 3 minutes. You need to be timing your rest periods, and you need to increase your intensity and work out at the intensity that you need to be in order to be reaching your goals. In addition to that, some people do not need rest days. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going hard at the gym 5 days, I get these 2 days to rest. Whereas in fact, if you're lifting or training or whatever you're doing, and it's only 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you're not sore the next day, you're ready to go, you probably don't need those rest days. So the third and final thing of why you've reached a plateau probably has something to do with your nutrition. Now, this is a topic I can talk about for hours, so I'm going to keep this short, but the best thing you can do for yourself is to be honest. And what people typically tend to do, which leads them to reaching a plateau, is they either underestimate or overestimate their needs. Now, the best thing you can do with your nutrition is to hire a nutritionist, hire a trainer who knows what they're talking about, because they should be able to tell you exactly what your body needs, in addition to knowing the ins and outs of your workouts. If you need any extra help with that, check out my website. I'll put a link below. But I am a sports nutritionist. I've been doing this for years. So if you need any help with your nutrition or breaking through a plateau, definitely check out my website. But getting back to it, the number one thing that people tend to do, which leads them to a plateau, is they either underestimate or they overestimate their caloric needs. Now, what I mean by that is people tend to think that they're doing more in the gym or in their daily activity, which leads them to think they need to eat more. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, a lot of people tend to underestimate their needs. They don't want to eat too much, and so they end up eating too little, which that is definitely what's going to lead to a plateau. If you're not eating to fuel your body is going to hold on to everything that you put into your mouth. It's going to cling on to it, it's going to store it as body fat, it's not going to use it how it should. In addition to that, a lot of people, and even I'll see trainers doing this, will have an improper use of refeed meals or cheat meals. Now, there are two categories in this as well. So, someone who is just getting into lifting, or you just started a new program, or you have a long way to go to reach your goals, you do not need a refeed meal or a cheat meal every single week. Think about it this way. If you're eating 500 calories less per day, so you're at a caloric deficit of 500 calories per day, over the course of 7 days, that's going to be 3,500 calories, which is enough to lose 1 pound of body fat. If you go out on the weekend or have your cheat meal, and that meal ends up being 2,000 calories or even 3,000 calories, your weekly total, you're only at a deficit of about 1,500 or even 500. So now it's going to take you 3 to 4 times as long to lose that 1 pound just because of that cheat meal. Now, there are a time and a place, and I get people all the time, competitors, high-level lifters, who don't think they need a cheat meal, so they will go weeks and even months without having a refeed, and that is even more detrimental because the leaner you are, the more refeeds you need, because your body needs to have that source to continue to be burning fat or building muscle, whatever your goals are. So if you're not doing your treats right, if you're having too many and you don't need them, or if you're not having enough, if you're underestimating, overestimating your caloric needs, you need to be honest with yourself. You know, take a step back, figure out what you're doing, figure out what you're not doing, and that will lead you to understand why you've reached a plateau. Now, like I said, if you need help with that, if you need my guidance, check out my website. I will have the link in the bio. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, depending on how long it takes me to edit, I would like to put out one per week. So if you have any questions, either shoot me an email, write them in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share this with a friend who has reached a plateau and they don't know why. And once again, thanks for watching. Peace out.